Hello, I am Srilatha, Chief Dietitian, Medicover Hospitals, Madhapur. Today we'll be talking about intermittent fasting and its impact on diabetes. Do we need insulin if we are on intermittent fasting? So, as we need to understand that diabetics is a killer disease in India. It's basically a metabolic disease. Around 77 million population to 80 million population in India suffer from diabetes, and it leads to end organ damage. It can lead to stroke, it can lead to cardiovascular diseases, it can lead to other complications like CKD, and it can lead to death even. There are some micro and macrovascular complications with diabetes. So how do we get rid of diabetes, or how do we control the diabetes? So as prescribed by the dietitians, we have a very good balanced diet, and also the drugs prescribed by the endocrinologist or the general physician. But nowadays we have certain diets or an eating strategy called as intermittent fasting. So basically they fast for long hours, and there is a normal eating after the fasting periods. So there are a number of varieties of intermittent fasting, where you tend to fast for 16 to 8 hours, then you take your food for 8 hours. So, or you take fast for 2 days in a week and 3 days you eat normally, or 24 hours in a week you fast completely. So these are different patterns of intermittent fasting available. So basically, if you do intermittent fasting, the side effects are seen, like you may have hair loss, you will have hypoglycemic effects during the fasting, there is a lot of muscle loss, there is not much reduction in the body mass index, and patients who are geriatric should not take up intermittent fasting, and also type 1 diabetes mellitus population should also not adopt this intermittent fasting. So basically, people are overloading their calories in intermittent fasting during the time of eating. All we need to understand that diabetes, we need to restrict calories, we need to take good amounts of protein, good amounts of fiber to control the blood sugars, and take healthy fats, and do adequate physical activity. Then the blood sugars are under control, we have a healthy body weight. But if we overdo in the eating period of time, then definitely your insulin requirement will be high, your weight will not be low, then you also have deleterious effects. So patients who are on intermittent fasting, if you seek a qualified dietitian's help and try to maintain and reach your nutritional targets in terms of your protein, fiber, and in restricting your calories, then definitely there will be a better outcome of intermittent fasting. A time may come that you may not require insulin or oral hypoglycemic agents. If it is being stipulated in a time and also added up with the drugs and exercise, you can reach a better targets initially. Over a period of time, you can be off your insulin, off your oral hypoglycemic agents with a very good intermittent fasting and an exercise regimen. All we need to understand is we should not fall into the pits of the deleterious effects of intermittent fasting. Try to balance with certain amounts of high protein liquids, high protein snacks, and restrict the calories. We need to understand that we cannot overdo on the calories during the eating period. If you are fasting, then the requirement for your insulin really lowers. Once if you are eating more, again there will be an increased requirement of insulin. So if you could manage and restrict the amount of carbohydrate in your diet, the type of carbohydrate what you eat, in terms of the good soluble and insoluble fiber, and avoiding the refined carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates like sugar and hot beverages, your bakery products, This makes your sugars better controlled. Taking a good amounts of high biological value protein and a combination of low biological value protein, taking fat-free dairy products, and also adding up healthy nuts and oil seeds in your diet with good amounts of vegetables, choosing non-starchy vegetables at least 500 grams in a day, good amounts of green leafy vegetables, at least 100 grams of fruit in your diet during the eating period, then we get the best results of your intermittent fasting. The researchers says that there are very minimum trials which are conducted in large scales. Only petty trials of intermittent fasting are present in the planet. And intermittent fasting is a strategy which is not a balanced diet. We need to understand this. And this is in the boom. This is the most Googled on the earth. So people get carried away and try to do some mistakes and then land up with the difficulties. So ideally, seek a dietitian's help and plan up intermittent fasting. We can have the best results and patients can be off OHS, off insulin, and can avoid the diabetic complications. Thank you.